Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. Bud Light is in serious trouble as always, but now their competitors are reporting sales of more than 50% of Bud Light, while their sales continue to tank and go down. Bud Light sales are down as much as 30% nationally and 90% in some specific places like North Carolina and South Carolina. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you. I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, so if you can subscribe, please do subscribe. Do you remember this video? This video is something we covered in another video just a couple of days ago. In Buffalo, New York, a bar removes their Bud Light tap and replaces it with a Miller Lite tap. Because now, according to On-Premise Insights, which publishes a very credible analysis that shows what's actually going on-premise sales. This is in a bar or in a restaurant, wherever you would consume the beer on that premise, on site. And their reports are showing that Bud Light, which used to be the #1 beer, has dropped nationally to the #4 beer. But this is what happens when you're the #4 beer and they only have 3 spots for taps. You get removed and taken out and replaced. And that's why Miller Lite and Coors Light sales are up by 50%. Another video that just came out today shows a bar owner replacing his Bud Light tap with a mystery tap because no one will drink the Bud Light. He's trying to get his conservative customers or some of his customers to at least drink the mystery beer. He claims it's working. We don't know if it's working or not, but no one is willingly drinking Bud Light. Really makes you wonder exactly how bad the boycott actually is. It's very bad, and we have a lot of evidence for it. Coming from the Daily Mail, Miller Lite and Coors Light outsell Bud Light by 50% as distributors warn it may never recover from Dylan Mulvaney's backlash. The brewer of Miller Lite and Coors Light has reported a huge surge in sales as drinkers turn their backs on Bud Light after the Dylan Mulvaney controversy. Molson Coors has reported its best quarterly revenue since a 2005 merger, which brought Miller and Coors under the same umbrella. The two beers' combined sales were 50% greater than Bud Light's for the April through June period. Molson Coors is one of several brands to benefit after the sale of Bud Light, which is owned by Anheuser-Busch, completely tumbled by around 30% nationally following a backlash to its partnership with Dylan Mulvaney, the trans influencer. Modelo Especial overtook Bud Light as America's best-selling beer in May and June. Distributors of Bud Light are concerned the beer will never bounce back and are now looking to other beers to claw back some lost customers because some of the distributors depend more on Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light than others do. The distributors that are dependent on Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch are obviously in a lot of trouble. Retail sales and volumes are down about 30% on Bud Light compared to last year following the boycott. This is the weekly sales report. This shows off-premise sales. If you go into a convenience store or a grocery store and you buy beer and you take it home, that's off-premise sales. This sales report comes from Bump Williams. He gives us sales updates every week from his information from Nielsen IQ, and it shows a 26.8% revenue decline and a 29.3% revenue decline for the week ended July 22nd. That would be July 16th through July 22nd for Bud Light. But we also see other drops in sales and volumes for Michelob Ultra, Busch Light, Budweiser. So it's not just Bud Light that's getting hurt. Financial analyst Bill Kirk said, "We believe the market share shift away from Bud Light and towards Miller Lite and Coors Light will be sticky and likely very profitable." What he means by sticky is it's not going anywhere. The shift is permanent. And of course it's permanent because Bud Light managed to change the branding of their beer from something that everyone could drink and feel comfortable with to something that only people who want to jump into a bathtub with Dylan Mulvaney would want to drink. And there's a lot less people out there that want to do that. Molson Coors said combined sales of Miller Lite and Coors Light were 50% higher than Bud Light in the first quarter. Bud Light beat both combined for the same period last year. One executive at a beer distributor in Texas told the New York Post, that customers have left Bud Light and that's how it's going to be. Quote, I don't envision a big percentage of them coming back, the executive said, adding that Coors Light and Miller Lite are very similar and whoever is best at marketing will win the customers who've shunned Bud. Anheuser-Busch is set to lay off hundreds of employees in the wake of the brand's disastrous Dylan Mulvaney partnership. The company announced its decision to lay off about 2% of its U.S. workforce in a statement released by CEO Brendan Whitworth last week. There are, of course, 19,000 people working for Anheuser-Busch, meaning approximately 350 to 400 people are going to be let go. Those people, though, are not the people that actually make, ship, and physically deal with their product, the beer. Those people are marketing people in 3 different offices. Also some administrative people, back office people. But there are unfortunately probably thousands of people who work for Anheuser-Busch who, if they do, really ought to be looking for another job right now, because when the shelf space reports come through in September that show how much shelf space is being taken away from Bud Light, look, it's got to be at least 30%, but it's going to be much more than 30%. I'm projecting at least 40% if their sales are truly down 30%, because some of those spots were premium, like one-of-a-kind spots. For example, I love this example. You can really see what's going on here. You see this tap being taken out where they're taking out Bud Light, and now it's fourth in that bar. It's not first anymore, but it's going to be fourth. Well, how are they going to sell any beer on tap if she's taking the Bud Light tap away? So fourth may as well be 0. So it's not going to go from first place to fourth place to, 0 sales everywhere. But in a lot of bars, it's going to be 0 now. That's just the new reality, or very close to it, down from spot number 1. When that shelf space gets adjusted, and it will be adjusted, we have some evidence on that, and I want to go over that with you actually right now. After the shelf space is adjusted, the sales are going to get cut. You can't keep 19,000 people working at a company when your sales drop from 30 to 40% down so precipitously like that. This article is from Fortune, and it covers essentially the same story we just covered with Daily Mail, but it has something extra at the end. Shelf space reset. The Molson Coors CEO furthermore confirmed recent suspicions from former Anheuser-Busch sales chief Anson Fredericks that beer retailers are moving forward with their shelf space resets from the spring to the fall, allocating fewer square feet to display Bud Light. And that is absolutely crucial. I've been talking about this since May. We got Anson Fredericks, former president of distribution for Anheuser-Busch, warning about this, that they needed to turn their business around at Bud Light. They needed to be honest with their distributors, with their customers, with their drinkers, with everyone that they work with. Time is up. It's going to be September. I sent an email to Bump Williams tonight, giving him what some of my guesses are, and we'll see what he says. Hopefully he can give me some specifics that I could talk about on the channel. It looks like it's going to be that production layoffs should be starting probably by September or October, but I haven't heard that from Bump Williams. That's just my own estimates. But so far, my estimates have been pretty accurate because I do have some understanding of manufacturing and distribution. Here's what Brendan Whitworth said, still won't level with people. Quote, today we took the very difficult but necessary decision to eliminate a number of positions across our corporate organization. While we never take these decisions lightly, we want to ensure that our organization continues to be set for future long-term success, he added. I mean, it's just a nonsense answer. It's something you could get out of ChatGPT or just copy and paste from someone else. In the layoff book is probably what he said to some assistant, like, hey, give me something I can copy and paste from pre-approved layoff correspondence and just put it out there. It doesn't even relate to what's going on in the industry. It's obviously so insincere. Well, these corporate structure changes will enable our teams to focus on what we do best, brewing great beer for everyone. Workers who are laid off will receive severance pay paid out of their unused vacation time, receive 6 months of continued company-paid health insurance benefits, and help finding a new job, according to an email sent to employees. The restructuring will simplify and reduce layers within the organization, but the layoffs will not affect frontline workers such as brewery and warehouse staff, drivers, and field sales representatives, among others. That's the scary thing about this. If you're selling 30 to 40% less beer, but you're not laying off any of the people that make the beer, but you've got 400 people almost that you're firing from the company because you don't have work for them, how many people is it going to be? It could be as bad as 5 to 1, like 2,000 people, 3,000 people let go. I hope it's not that bad, But if you're firing marketing people and administrative people, manufacturing people represent a much higher ratio usually of hands-on workers. We'll see what happens. Anheuser-Busch's market value has tanked more than $27 billion, and two of its top executives who were in charge of this, Alyssa Heinerschied and her boss, are currently supposedly on leave, although it doesn't look like they're ever coming back to the company. A recent YouGov poll of 1,468 people found the public approval of Bud Light had slumped so much it fell out of the top 10. While the proportion of Americans who like Bud Light hadn't changed, the popularity of other rival beers surged, pushing it into 15th place in a list of top 10. Bud Light, completely falling apart, continues to progress. Now we've gotten to the point where their competitor, Molson Coors CEO, has openly said, yes, there is a shelf space reset in play, and yes, Bud Light is getting reduced as their beers, the competitor, is being increased. We will see sales continue to fall, and we will then see them fall further because when there's less shelf space available for any product, you will sell less of that product. In some places, it will sell out and then not get replaced. In other places, it just won't be noticed. In other places, the more successful beers with better displays and more shelf space are going to outsell them just because you see more of the competitor. So sales will continue to decline as time goes on. It looks very much like Anheuser-Busch has just completely given up on Bud Light. They have destroyed this brand with an absolutely ridiculous promotion that never should have happened. But when it did happen, and there was a mistake, and the big mistake was giving Dylan Mulvaney that can with Dylan's face on it and having Dylan promote that and not even make it clear to customers, hey, that's not actually the new face of our beer. We're not changing all of our cans. That was kind of like a novelty joke can. They never followed up, never said anything about it. It took weeks for them to say anything like, oh, well, that was kind of just one can. Let complete confusion reign, upset a ton of customers, hurt many distributors, and caused this massive controversy. But I will say I'm glad it happened because they didn't deserve to have people's business if that's how they're going to treat their customers. And neither does Target, and neither do any of these other guys that don't appreciate their customers and won't listen to their customers and focus on serving their customers. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.